Are you hitting it? There you go. Look at that.
Apparently.
I'm teaching Ellen how to start up the show. Good evening,
No, he's
everyone.
not.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesday Night Q&A.
It just takes
I'm
me a little
Clay.
longer than it takes him. I'm
I'm
Ellen.
Clay, and
Hi.
joined by the lovely and ever gracious, sweet, kind, genteel E-Train. When she's not
Hello,
being a diva.
everyone. I'm
It's good to
never a
see y'all.
diva. Good to see y'all.
Hello.
Hey, Sky Ricky. What's going on?
Sky, Brentwood, good to see y'all.
Hey, Brentwood.
Hope y'all have had a good start to the week.
And Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
And Melissa. Yeah, I just had to check the puppies. Ellen's kicked the puppies out of her room.
We discussed this last time.
Because they distract her.
I'm ADHD like to 1,000%. And yes, they do easily. And then you don't get to speak and then everything gets weird. And so I have my limits.
So she leaves them down here where they don't distract me at all.
No, they can come upstairs or go downstairs. They just can't come into my room. I think that's fair.
Which makes them all sad.
No, they just go and sleep on the couch in the living room right outside your office, which is not a big thing. So hush.
Yeah, we have a different definition of sleeping on the couch as they come in here 10 times to check on me and see if I'll go play with them.
Oh, they never distract you, though.
Never. Life with dogs. Hope y'all and y'all's puppies are all doing well. We got a cute little picture from Melissa with her and Green Bean tooling around. And we really appreciate it. We enjoy, seeing y'all's family. And we enjoy sharing y'all's family. So thank you very much.
Yes, and I told Melissa, I said, clearly it's in GB's contract to be front and center. And she said, absolutely. Well. Yes, and he has already practiced his walk down the red carpet. So I think, it's coming. GB has dreams.
I hope he achieves every one of them.
Me too.
So I was sitting here thinking today was kind of an unusual day in school. We have what is known as Business Week, where we basically...
How was Business Week?
That's 2 days. The business week is 2 days.
It's been shortened.
Yeah, we'll have a keynote speaker kick it off on Monday evenings. And in the past, we've had Yellen and
like
who
Janet
was the
Yellen?
Former Fed governor? Yeah. Who was the former Fed governor? Bernanke.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we, start off with the speaker, and then for 2 days, their classes are canceled in the business school. Classes are canceled.
I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not disturbing at all.
Nope.
That's Ellen's definition of sleeping, by the way. So for 2 days, classes are canceled, and we have speakers in. Some of them will be former alumni. Like I had 2 kids that graduated last year. One's in Chicago with Northern Asset. The other's in Charlotte with Wells Fargo. And so they came in and talked about, Charlotte.
Sorry. I got to call you out.
That's all right. Talking about, their experiences, how they got the job, what it was like going through the interview process, what they liked about school, what they wish they had done different, what school prepared them for, what it didn't prepare them for, kind of those kind of questions. And then we'll have, speakers in talking about different industries, different jobs in different industries. So it's just a couple of days for the students to kind of get a better understanding of what is going on out in the business world that they'll be entering in or may want to enter in. And it gives them a chance to make some contact or connections with potential employers or alumni who can keep an eye out for openings, this kind of thing. It's just kind of a networking opportunity for them. Plus, it has tons of free food. So that's always good. So no class and free food. Next 2 days, I'm gold. I love my job.
The one thing I kind of like about UNCW is that at least in the business school, all of you guys kind of look out for each other, especially the alumni and the professors, especially those of you who have been, I guess, previously in the industry before you started teaching.
Yeah, a lot of the faculty actually worked in the industry before going back and getting their PhD, which is, I think, a nice touch. But we also have a very unique network. The metropolitan area here has more retired Fortune 500 CEOs and executives per capita than anywhere else in the world. And so when we, find somebody who was, formerly gainfully employed, let's say, we have a thing called the Cameron Executive Network. And they agree to kind of serve as a mentor for a student or two students. They'll take them out to lunch, meet with them, every few weeks. Some of them get to develop very close relationships. And that, they help them prepare a resume, they help them interview, and they will, if they are suitably impressed by the student, give them a referral or even help kind of hook them up with an interview.
Even so that, my mentor, who I got in my late 30s, was Wade Howell, and he started the Angel Investment Network in Wilmington through UNCW, which I think now is what's the guy's name that does it now? You know him. He owns some kind of bank. Anyway,
Live Oak.
No. But anyway, he was my mentor, and man, when he passed away, I'm still not quite over it. Like these guys, these investors and these guys who have run businesses and been successful really want to share their knowledge. They really want to pass it on to other people. And it was such a gift to work side by side with him for 3 years and just absorb all of his knowledge. And I think that, from what we've talked about and what you're talking about now, that's kind of how it works with, the college. If you graduate and you are someone who really wants it and really wants to work hard for it, they are very gracious.
Yeah, they are. And most of them, really enjoy it because while they're retired, it still allows them to be in a, rather cool environment and still be involved and still contribute in various ways. And so it ends up being good for them and ends up being good for the student. And we actually end up placing more students like Wall Street than some of the Ivy League schools. And I've got kids working at Goldman, Morgan, Bank of Tokyo, which rarely hires Americans. UBS, Deutsche, Credit Suisse, just all the majors. And so I'm really, grateful for that. It's a big help to the kids who then also take it upon themselves to help future graduates, try to connect with them. So we have a very good network. Even though we're a young school, we've really, worked on developing some of that. So today is part of that process. Today and tomorrow is part of that process. I hope everybody is doing well otherwise. Like I say, it's been a, kind of a light day for me, and tomorrow will be the same. But there has been some interesting things going on in and around the world.
Always. Never a dull moment in the universe.
And
okay, wait, hang on. First of all, if y'all have any questions, comments, anything you want to ask, whether you're on Rumble or YouTube or X, please just pop it up there. And I know that through StreamYard, we can get YouTube and X, and then I've got Rumble up here on the iPad. So please don't be afraid to ask a question. That's what we're here for.
Trying to get this up takes me about 10 button clicks or whatever.
Well, I gave you some time to
while
I spoke.
Mm-hmm. You know, Tuesday night is kind of an open forum. Really don't have a whole lot prepared or any particular topic. Just kind of throw out some things that I saw was interesting, and you know, maybe it'll generate some discussion or thoughts. Saw this deal concerning property rights. Now, property rights isn't something we get into a whole lot, but this was so startling in a number of ways. There was this lady, the one you see pictured here down on the left, who inherited a house from her parents passing, and you know, was tied up with the funeral and arrangements and adjusting. So she really didn't check on the house for, you know, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever. And when she goes to check on it, she finds that there are squatters living in the house.
Nice.
And under New York law, if people have lived there for 30 days or more, they have a right to stay there. You can't just go in and throw them out on the street. So she changed the lock, and they called the police. And this is the police arresting her. It is apparently against the law to turn off utilities, change the locks, remove the belongings of someone who claims to be a tenant. So here's the interaction with her and the police.
How about that? A squatter standoff. A property owner confronts a group of people she says moved into her $1 million home in Queens, and our cameras were rolling as dozens of officers showed up.
Several people were taken away in handcuffs, and one of those arrested may surprise you.
Investigative reporter Dan Krauth joins us now with more on what happened. Tell us, Dan.
Well, this is a very big growing problem. I received dozens of tips from viewers about this in just the past week. I went to do what I thought was going to be a routine interview. Instead, we capture what police and property owners are dealing with on a daily basis.
I have video of you.
Who are these people?
Figure out the situation.
Yeah, but they're in my house, man.
Relax.
No.
To understand how this day ended,
We need the police right away.
with multiple 911 calls and arrests, we have to start at the beginning.
Adele, the hardest question is, how do you say your name?
We met Adele Andaloro outside the home her parents left her in Flushing, Queens. She's in the process of selling it.
No, he locked it.
But she's been locked out. She claims squatters moved in on February 6th and refused to leave.
What's it like being here knowing you can't go inside of your own home?
It's enraging. It really is.
In New York, squatters have rights after 30 days.
By the time that someone does their investigation and they do their work and their job, we'll be well over the 30 days, and this man will have stolen my home. And now she's back.
Just after wrapping up our interview, a woman showed up.
What are you doing in the house? Are you renting this house? Why are you here?
She unlocked the front door, saw our cameras, and took off.
It's open. Let's go in the house. It's open.
Adele and her daughter, with the property deed in hand, went inside.
This is my furniture. These are my curtains.
She didn't just find her belongings inside.
There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
She found 2 men.
How long have you lived here?
I moved in about 2 days ago.
They've called the police on me, and I've called the locksmith. I didn't come in illegally. The door was open.
Police started interviewing neighbors and looking for documents.
Do you have something that shows that you've been here for more than 30 days?
They took the man who told me he had been renting for 2 days out in handcuffs
They got one out.
and escorted the other guy off the property.
Now you're afraid to come out.
I'm not coming out. This house is empty. This is my home. My locksmith is on the corner waiting to change my locks. And it's not fair. It's not fair that I, as the homeowner, should be having to go through this.
How you doing?
Minutes later, a locksmith showed up, but police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed, the man who claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
Do you see this? This guy just literally broke down my door, broke through myself and my daughter to get in here. This guy.
All right, you gotta stop.
My house.
Sorry,
This
I
is
was kind of getting lost in thought.
No, this is
But
ridiculous.
she ends up getting arrested.
Because someone's been in her house for 30 days, squatted.
That is
the
they can't even
biggest.
prove the 30 days.
That is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. I think Brentwood has a comment for us.
This is just weird. How can you protect your home? Seriously. And the issue with squatting, like, this is the law in New York, the whole state. This is not just
California
like
too.
city.
California's the same way.
A lot of states have, similar law. But this kind of dovetails into the discussion on housing. What does this kind of law or rights bode for renters, for future renters? Sky Ricky, I went to watch World Figure Skating champions practicing for the competition this weekend here in Montreal. And they're so talented. I wonder how they make money. I think they have sponsors who will use them in ads. And, they may, when they are, conducting interviews, wear some of their clothes, with the sponsor's logo or name on it, that kind of thing. So most of them, I believe, particularly at the top level, have pretty good sponsorship contracts.
They do, and the people that sponsor the teams and all that good stuff. Oops.
Yeah. But, we've thinking about housing is we've seen housing prices soar, as have interest rates over the past few years. And Gen Zers are constantly complaining or saying that they'll never be able to afford a house.
Hang on. There's a wild Carson sighting.
Carson, how you doing, man? Well, we're glad to have you in and out.
Absolutely. It's been a while, but so good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, sorry.
And Melissa, tenants' rights are extremely important, but the squatter's business is nonsense. I agree. If somebody is leasing, renting apartment, they should have, certain protections and rights. As long as they keep their contract, the homeowner should keep, his end of the contract. But for people just to see an empty house or find a house, I think these people found the house because they saw the death notice and knew that after a couple days, nobody would be there. So they jumped on in, knowing that if they're there for a few weeks before they're discovered, they get to stay in the house. And it may take a year or more for her to be able to lawfully evict them.
That is just such crap, though. Like, if you break into my house and I'm out of town and you decide to stay, like, what? No.
Yeah, but think of this in conjunction with the, inability to buy houses. If you can't buy houses, you need to be able to rent one.
They're not renting.
So if you have a house, do you want to keep it empty, advertise it for rent, and take the risk that some squatter will move in before you get a tenant signed?
No, I just want it empty. But they can break in.
I'm just saying these kind of laws, this kind of experience, a lot of people are going to watch this and think, I'm not going to rent. You know, even if I get a renter and they pay the rent for a month and then don't pay it for 2 or 3 months, it'll still take me a year to get them evicted.
That's just bullshit, though. They could destroy your property in that time.
So, you know, looking at this kind of stuff with the current housing shortage, you know, Gen Zers have been complaining they're not going to be able to buy a house. Well, they're going to start complaining they're not able to rent one either. You know, this is just, you know, I've talked several times about how chaos in the system in the world is increasing. This is chaos. This is almost borderline anarchy. Sky Ricky, that is real chutzpah, which means a lot of nerve. Yeah. Sky Ricky is our resident, what do you call a person that writes dictionary? Can't think of the name. But there's a really good movie starring Mel Gibson. I forget the name of it, but it's about the guy who put together the first, was it Webster's or Oxford Dictionary?
We saw that.
Yeah. And it was, you would think that's not that great of a movie, but it was a really, really good movie. So anyway, rambling here.
It's not Tuesday night and rambling.
I know, but it just seemed a good opportunity too. So, you know, I just saw that and it just hit me that renting, you know, particularly if this kind of stuff continues to increase, renting is going to get more and more difficult. There's going to be less and less availability for housing of most any type. You know, there's some other things going on in the housing market. I don't know how many of you saw it, but this week, the National Association of Realtors just agreed to a settlement where they will discontinue enforcing the 6% commission rate on the sale of houses. I don't know all the exact terms, but it's an interesting idea. One, because I've seen some estimates indicate that 50 to 80% of current real estate agents will leave the market because they won't be able to make any money. And you know, what could the rate drop to, the commission drop to? Well, I don't know. In Canada, it's 3%. In the UK, it's 2.5%. In Sweden, it's 1.5%. So to put numbers to this, if you look at every 1% reduction for the average housing price, which is about $420,000 now, every 1% reduction in fee saves $4,200. So 3% would be $12,600 in commissions saved by the seller. So yay for the seller.
But if you're the buyer, you get $400 a month if it's a new purchase or you're going up or
that's
expanding.
Yeah, that's if Biden's credit goes through. But in terms of this particular change, what it very likely may do is increase the cost for buyers. So there may be additional fees now tacked on, which the buyer instead of the seller will pay. So it's good for the seller, but probably will induce additional fees for the buyer, making buying a house even more expensive. Then you've got soaring insurance and tax cost. I mean, in California, most insurers are pulling out. They just don't want any part of the state. In Florida, with all the hurricanes, the average home premium is about $8,000 or $9,000. Insurers are fleeing the coast as well because of the hurricane and storm damage there. So, you know, we've talked some about buying a house, how housing prices are starting to fall, how more houses are, you know, coming on the market. And so I want to say, the opportunity to buy a house is going to improve. But if you look at some of these other additional costs, some of these other hidden costs, can you buy a house if you can't get insurance? What if nobody wants to insure that particular property? Mortgage companies probably won't lend the money. So it just creates a number of repercussive effects. What the outcome is, I can't honestly say. There's so many variables, increasing number of variables going on. But, I think ultimately it's going to get worse before it gets better in terms of for buyers and for sellers. There are more and more frictions being added to the market, more and more confusion. That's never a good opportunity. So, if you can't sell your house, are you going to want to rent it? Are you going to want to risk leaving it vacant for a few weeks while you look to make a deal? It just
No.
begs a lot of questions.
I mean,
Brings
besides
up a lot of questions.
besides cameras, besides alarm systems, is there any way to protect yourself from this?
In a state like New York, no, you just can't leave the house vacant for any amount of
California?
time.
California,
Same in California.
Colorado.
Same in Washington. There are a number of states that have these additional protections and delays in evicting people. If you remember during COVID, there was actually a moratorium on evictions, even if people weren't paying their rent.
Oh, God, yeah.
People who were, renting out their house got creamed. So I don't know what's going to happen. This whole field is just changing so rapidly. I can't really predict or guess what's going to happen. There's no consistent trend right now. There's a lot of contrary trends, and how it's all going to sort out, I don't know.
What do you call that? Not an easement. If someone walks across their property for like 10 years, then it is a right of way or they own that passage.
Yeah, I don't know.
I took a real
I know a lot
estate
of
course
people,
years ago.
yeah, I'm not sure about that detail. I know a lot of the, farmers and landowners down on the southern border have been restricted from, putting up fences or arresting or chasing immigrants off their property, even if they're destroying the property, hurting, the livestock, whatever. Their hands are severely tied.
That is
And it's
just wrong.
Yeah. Property rights have always been a key foundation. Your property is your property. But as those rights continue to weaken, what's next? Property owners are getting madder. The people without property are getting bolder. I don't know. It's just not a good trend for right now.
I know you and I, Clay, both have this sentiment.
Hey there, you sly dog at Carson Pratt. Damn glad to see you. Yeah, Carson is a well-known regular on the show. He's been AWOL the past few weeks, so it's good to see him back. He's usually got other responsibilities at this time, kids, or sometimes at work. So he's kind of in and out. But
we missed you, Carson.
We're glad to have him back.
We noticed you were gone, so we're glad to see you.
Yeah, Carson's kind of part of the fam.
Oh.
Get ready for book club, Carson. Absolutely. And we have the book for the next club. Ellen?
It is. I made an executive decision because Melissa votes. She's got all the energy and the zeal and keeps putting it out there, and it hasn't gotten chosen yet. So the book is Raptor Red. There was a dog that liked that somewhere downstairs. I heard the bark. So yes, Raptor Red, Melissa, is the next book. No, the book club it will be, we haven't decided yet. You guys have to let us know what the best day is for you guys. We usually give you guys like a month to read it.
Yeah, we need to pick a day sometime soon here.
Oh, Carson, you're fine. Do whatever you want. Not tonight. And good Brentwood. And Brown.
Let's see. I'm thinking maybe the night of the 16th or 30th in April. Can't do the 23rd.
Can you put a poll up?
Yeah. I think I can. While I do
the little
that.
dinosaurs, Melissa's. That's so cute. So Raptor Red. I am 1996. I was 19. Sweet. I am I'm so confused.
This is your opportunity to talk while I do the poll.
Wow. What else to say? No, I'm glad Carson's back. I'm glad Melissa's back. And Clay, I am handing over the comments that are going to be thrown up on the screen to Brentwood. It is all you now, sweetheart. You're in charge. Yay. Don't say yikes, Brentwood. Oh, Sky already bought the book. Awesome. Good deal.
All right.
All right. We gotta give pages. How many people get all crazy about how long it is or what they have to read?
272 pages.
That's not bad. It's a paperback, I'm assuming, and it is $7.99 on Amazon. I'm sure you can find it read by someone somewhere. Carson, you gotta go to the library again.
I don't know if it's on YouTube as an audiobook, but I wouldn't be surprised that it's available somewhere as an audiobook.
True. I'm sure Melissa will let us know.
Yeah, we'll try to research that some and figure out. But Melissa has been terribly, terribly excited about this book. She loves this book. And, you know, if you know anything about Melissa, she is extremely well-versed in the arts.
Yes.
Theater, literature, whatever. Sky Ricky as well. So this book comes very highly recommended, and I expect it to be a modestly entertaining read. So
I think so. I'm excited to read it. Excuse me. Got hiccups.
How can you not like a book that starts off, she is an intelligent killer?
Yep.
So yeah, I honestly have heard nothing about the book, but I know Melissa loves it, and
5
I
stars.
trust Melissa.
It's got 5 stars. I mean, come on.
Which is kind of rare. 722 ratings.
I'm digging
Less
it.
than 1% give it a 1 star.
I like it.
So either way you go, seems to be very well liked. Couldn't
All right,
think
so
of the right
Melissa-
word there.
Melissa, you got to send us your notes because I'm assuming you've read it more than once.
Yeah, we ought to let Melissa lead the discussion on it.
Mm-hmm.
She, I have really cheered and appreciated her faithfulness to this book. We've done, 3 or 4 polls trying to pick out the next book. And she's in there fighting for Raptor Red every time. It's just, there is no quit in the girl.
No, and I was like, I made an executive decision. This is what we're doing. Yeah, no cheating with Melissa's notes. No, she should lead the Zoom, I think. You two, you and Melissa should get together and go over notes. And I think you or Melissa or you and Melissa should lead it. We'll text you, Melissa.
Yeah. We'll work it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Raptor Red Book Club. Next kind of topic to throw out for discussion is inflation, shrinkflation. We've heard President Biden complain about companies, doing shrinkflation. And I saw this and thought it was, it's kind of a perfect example. If you'll notice, you've got 2 different stickers here, both with the same exact price. The difference is in the fine print.
Down at the very bottom, the very far right-hand side, there should be a 2. Yeah, there we go.
I can blow it up a little bit more.
There you go.
But if you'll notice, the main difference is in the small print. The per ounce cost, 15.77 versus 17.45. And you think, well, why would that change? Because the actual contents have changed. 146 ounces versus 132 ounces.
Oh my God. Freaking Biden and his little snacks.
Did not get it in the picture, but the bottle still looks identical. The shape, the design, the label are all the same. So this is kind of a great example of shrinkflation. And
is that
just
the biggest
one of many
problem we got going on right now?
No, but it does show you or indicate that inflation is still going on.
No, Joe Biden says no.
And he blames it on the companies.
Yeah.
I will agree. The companies do try not to accentuate that the price of their goods are going up. In fact, they do try to mask it.
Hang on. We've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
You get the idea.
No one grabbed that ever.
Like Brentwood said, always look at the per unit price.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if you use Tide, you're still going to stay with Tide, because Tide is not alone in having increased cost. So not really trying to pick on Tide or, any particular project, but I just thought this
I don't
was
like
an
Tide
interesting,
though.
Yeah, I thought this was just an interesting comparison or interesting example of shrinkflation and how it works. I mean, the price is the exact same number.
Yep.
It's like they had, and I don't know how they did. Well, I do know how they did this. If you'll notice, this person holds a bunch of pricing stickers in their hand. This is actually the store clerk replacing the label and the inventory.
That's how they make it work. They're like, you're paying the same thing, but they assume that you're not looking at the per ounce.
Yeah. And like I say, the packaging is the same.
Mm-hmm.
So just thought that was kind of a good example about inflation. Then for those of you who like numbers, and no, okay, I'm a little bit of a quant. I like my numbers.
No. You?
I do. I admit. Well, I saw this by Lawrence Summers. Now, that name should sound familiar. That name should sound familiar because he was Obama's chief economic advisor. And he has just published a paper where he and his co-authors developed alternative CPI measures. Because if you've been watching this channel for long, you know that I have knocked some of the BEA's and BLS's calculations they release.
False. CPI, Consumer Price Index. Clay, give the BLS and the whatever else you said. Okay.
The CPI is a group of inflation measures, 1 through 6. Each one contains different components. The most popular one, when somebody talks about the inflation rate or the CPI, is CPI 3. And it is the most widely quoted inflation numbers. There's others, PCE and some others that the Fed actually value more. But Summers points out here that the CPI excludes mortgage cost as well as personal interest payments. So if you have a credit card and your interest payment has gone up, that doesn't factor in inflation. If you have a mortgage and your interest rate has gone up, your payments have gone up, that does not factor into the inflation rate.
That's ridiculous.
It really kind of is. And Summers points out they have increased more than 50% in 2023 alone. And if you look at what actually would happen to the rate, well, boom. If you include what people actually pay for mortgage and credit cards, you can tell there was, about a 65 or 70, % growth in cost. Now, below it, he talks about what he's doing basically is reconstructing the CPI of a guy by the name of Okun. He was an economist who came up with the misery index. The misery index, which the Biden inflation quotes often, is a combination of inflation and unemployment. And again, if you've watched the show, you know that I have kind of mocked both of those calculations as being kind of rigged toward the low side. And this is just, and that Summers is basically saying this same thing. If you calculate CPI the same way it was calculated before 1983, then inflation this past year would have peaked at around 18%. So instead of 9% peak, it would have been 18%, which would be a whole hell of a lot more reflective of your actual inflation cost versus the CPI. Even now, this rate comes in a little bit below 10% versus the 2.5%, 3%, 4%, depending on which index you use, that's being quoted now. So I thought that was pretty damn interesting. It's one thing for me to say it, but when one of Obama's chief economic advisors is sitting there going, we're being fed bullshit. And it's easy to post a low inflation rate when you're excluding costs that have gone up. Carson,
real quick,
we could add the repair manual for a 2000 Toyota Echo to the list. How about repairs in general for a 2000 Toyota?
They shouldn't have repairs at this point.
Yeah,
from what I can
they're
recall.
still too young.
This is the the link to the employment numbers video that we did. If anybody wants to hop in on that one and find out what that's all about.
Yeah, I talk about some of the inconsistencies and omissions in the publicly released employment numbers, jobs numbers. Well, interestingly, also is some academics, and by the time academics jump on the bandwagon, that it's seriously gaining momentum. Yeah. But, many in academia are starting to grasp the idea that inflation will be higher for longer. You've heard Jay Powell talk about interest rates will be higher for longer. Well, why will they be higher for longer? Well, because inflation will be higher for longer. And, there has been some signaling from Jay Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. I call him Jay Powell for short. He's repeatedly indicated that the Fed may not wait to cut rates till inflation hits 2%. So 2% is the stated target rate. So you basically wouldn't expect the Fed to cut interest rates until inflation goes below 2%. And we talked about before how inflation normally is a 5 to 7 year battle to get it consistently under 2%. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, goes down. So it normally takes 5 to 7 years to tame it. Well, there's a lot of pressure on the Fed and Jay Powell. And there's several of the Board of Governors that think rates are too high, that they ought to be cut because they're worried about a recession. The flip side is if rates are cut, that will probably only encourage more inflation, which inflation is extremely damaging, particularly to the poor and the middle class. So here's this scholar, a research scholar at Yale, visiting fellow at Georgetown, who states maybe the 2% of the post-pandemic era doesn't look like your dad's 2%. So he's basically saying that what the Fed has stated as their goal of 2% on the CPI rate, may be tacitly raised to 3%, maybe 4%. Just don't know. But
Desislava Tankova. Did you read that, Clay, yet?
Not yet.
Okay, you getting there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Sorry.
That's all right. I ought to be used to it by now.
You should.
I never get used to it. When you have a train of thought.
And
do you know what CPI 4 and 5 include? I actually was, I actually misstated. There are several CPI measures, but there's CPI-U, CPI-W. There's PCE, several others. The CPI-U is basically the inflation rate experienced by urban wage earners, the average worker, clerical, professional, self-employed, those. Another one's like CPI-W includes the CPI-W estimates the inflation experienced by hourly wage earners. The idea being that different wage groups in different areas will buy and purchase different sets of goods, hence possibly experience different inflation rates. So, yeah, kind of, like I say, I misspoke. I was thinking of the unemployment has 1 through 6. So forgive me. Kind of get lost in thought sometimes. Anyway, so if the Fed really does end up easing its target goal of 2% and settles for 3, maybe 4%, then inflation will be much higher for much longer. Right now, if we look, Bank of Japan just recently hiked its rates out of negative territory. They have held negative rates for more than a decade, really long time. And what's a negative rate? Well, a positive rate is if I lend you money, you pay me interest at some rate. A negative rate means that I lend you money and I pay you interest, a negative rate. So the Bank of Japan has maintained a negative rate for quite some time, which has hurt investment in the country, which has hurt economic growth. Their goal was to obviously make money cheaper for borrowers, give them more incentive to borrow, but who besides the Bank of Japan wants to lend to somebody and have to pay them to take your money? So, they're finally seeing the light and, getting out of the negative rate. Looking at some of the other major trade partners of the U.S., the Eurozone is near recessionary. Canada has restrictive policies. China's, economic crash is still not over. So in other words, most of the economies that the U.S. trades with are pretty tight or hurting. That in and of itself will probably ease pressure or demand in the American market, because countries with poor economies generally are not hiking prices of their exports. Also, those countries probably won't be buying as many U.S. goods as they might otherwise. So demand drops, also putting a little bit of a push on price hiking. So, there is some possible opportunity for the Fed to view inflation as being moderately contained and start cutting rates. But the main idea of this is I want everybody to realize that the 2% target rate is mythical. It's certainly not an absolute. The reality is that many hoping for rate cuts are kind of ignoring that, for example, the Atlanta Fed sticky CPI, a different CPI calculation, core CPI, which excludes fuel and food from the CPI. Core PCE, which is the Fed's preferred inflation indicator. You've got the Cleveland trimmed mean CPI, another CPI calculation. You've got Cleveland median CPI. You've got core PPI. You've got the 2 and 5 year break-even inflation expectations rate. All of those have been increasing lately. So most everything that the central bank tracks in terms of measuring inflation is starting to increase again. And it's going to be really tough for the Fed to cut rates while inflation is rising. Anybody notice what's happened to energy prices lately? I mean, gas around here has gone up 40 cents a gallon in 2 weeks. Oil, closing above $82 is up 15% so far this year, and it's still in the first quarter. Oil very well could be on a track to $100 or more. I just saw where cutters agreed to cut their production as well. So the Fed cutting rates would probably only increase demand for oil, which would drive oil prices higher. Again, encourage more inflation. So the point of all this is that, there's obviously strong desire for the Fed to cut rates in the market. But if you'll notice, the market has been tempering its enthusiasm over the past week or two. And I think realistically, the chance of the Fed cutting rate, even near the end of this year, are pretty damn slim. Now, that obviously can change if the economy goes into a tank really quick, but I wouldn't expect the Fed to change rates to cut rates. And if inflation continues increasing for the next month or two, they'll probably have to hike again. Melissa, hasn't everything gone up except salaries? That's, like I say, particularly for the poor and the middle class, inflation just hammers you. It just is brutal. I know a lot of people that have had to change what they buy for groceries, for food. I've posted before about how people are accessing their retirement plans like 401ks to try to keep their house from getting foreclosed, to try to, pay bills, buy groceries, whatever. So, where's all this headed? In addition to, energy prices increase, which everything is really feeds off the energy cost. Rising energy costs increase most every other good and service, in the world, the cost of it. But a big driver for inflation is government spending, and spending can't be cut. Taxes can't be raised, hopefully. So, what is the reality we're facing here? It's like, the government wants to keep telling you that continuous rapid depreciation in the value of the dollar is good for you. Even though you can buy less and less with that dollar, it's good for you because this is the policy that we're sticking to. Desislava, how will stock market be affected by this? Well, let me start off with the bond market, because I think the bond market is I'm going to say it's a more sophisticated market, and generally bond traders are more attuned to some of this. And I noticed this past week that bond traders are increasing their short bets, which indicates they expect the Fed to dash hopes for rate cuts in 24. So remember, we talked about the teeter-totter for bonds, the seesaw. The seesaw is a perfect representation of a bond or a mortgage. You've got two things that move. You've got one thing that is fixed. So the two things that move are the price and the interest rates. As interest rates rise, the price of the bond falls. So a short bet is anticipating that the price of the bonds are going to fall, hence rates go up further. So that's what bonds are saying right now. And if that happens, that probably will have a fairly severe impact on the stock market. You could see pretty steep, pretty quick drops in the stock market. The stock market has, kind of bounced along and gained a lot of steam because it kept anticipating the Fed was going to cut rates. And that enthusiasm, like I say, has been tempered over the past month or two, particularly as these inflation numbers come in higher. But if the Fed, actually comes out and says, while we were hopeful that, we could cut rates with the current environment, current increases in inflation, just don't see how we can cut rates. That probably would do some damage in the stock market. Melissa, now thinking of Nick from The Great Gatsby. How so? What did I miss? We just covered The Great Gatsby in the book club, so I've got all these thoughts rushing back through my head again. But not sure what that's referring to. So, with the market, like duh, he's in bonds. In the book, Nick, I guess the main protagonist was a bond salesman. Yeah, completely blew past me. Sorry, Melissa. Like I say, you ought to be running the book club. Now, I've talked about, a month ago or so, I started moving my money out of stocks into cash. I am not making an investment recommendation. No longer a registered investment advisor. I just share with you my thoughts, my ideas, and what I'm actually doing. I like my track record over the past 40 years. Hadn't been perfect. And obviously, as I get older, I'm a little bit more concerned with risk, managing risk. I've always been concerned about managing risk. The main reason being is that if you invest and you have $1 in stocks, well, if the market declines 50%, you've got 50 cents. What kind of return do you need to get that back to $1? Well, you need 100% return to get it back to $1. And that might take years. So to me, the best fund managers that I've studied or been acquainted with manage their downside risk. They're willing to give up, a few points of return on the upside for a period of time if they think systematic risk is greatly increasing in the market. So that's what I've always tried to focus on, is risk to the system, not just one company, not just one area, but is risk to the system increasing? And I believe it is. I believe it's increasing significantly. So I have backed, some of my investments out to, short-term investments, treasuries, money market, whatever. And, for whatever it's worth what you pay for it. So again, it's not investment advice, just sharing with you what I do and how I do it. I basically make my living following trends. And then I make decisions off of those trends. I don't worry a whole lot necessarily about momentum. I remember in 2010, 2009, 2010, I was still in cash, but the market had started moving. And I was like, what the hell? You've still got banks folding. You've still got, this lousy economy going on. And then it hit me that the Fed was the 800-pound gorilla, and they started pumping liquidity into the market. So as long as the Fed was going to pump money into the market's going up. Doesn't matter what the economy does. Doesn't matter what expectations for the economy are. The Fed is going to drive the market higher, and it did for a decade. The economic performance during those years wasn't always that hot, but the market did pretty damn well over that 10-year period. Well, the Fed has quit pumping money. If they started again, I'd be like, screw the economy. I'm buying stocks, whole hog. But if the Fed has been trying to reduce, I don't know if you pay attention, but if you look at the assets in the Federal Reserve, their assets have just gone exponential over the past decade. They were buying securities left and right like nobody's business. And that's what drove the market higher. Well, they're starting to try to reduce that. So not only are they not providing liquidity, they're pulling liquidity out of the markets. So there's less cash chasing the assets. Now, private investors like me still have a fair amount of cash available, but a lot more of that is on the side. And like I was just talking a few minutes ago, in the bond market, they've increased their short bets, which is a kind of a sign they expect interest rates to rise based on Fed news releases, based on Fed actions, or some combination of either. Does that make sense? Everybody with me on that? I don't want to necessarily belabor the point, but I want to make sure that I explain it in, a shape, manner, or form that gives you the information you want or need. Now, speaking of investments, I saw this and I thought this is so typical. A lot of people, talk about Goldman Sachs, and they are a quote unquote preeminent investment banking firm. Investment bank just means that they're involved with securities, not loans. Commercial banks handle loans. Investment banks handle securities, buying and selling of securities. Well, Goldman's big, probably the biggest name in investment banking. They would be mad that I said probably. But how does Goldman operate? I don't hold Goldman in a lot of esteem. In fact, I'm fairly contemptuous of a lot of what they do. And this is a reason why. On March 4th, Goldman initiated coverage of SMCI and issued a 941 price target. They thought the stock was going up according to their release. Well, on the 19th, found out Goldman's was selling 2 million shares at $900 to $1,000 each in an equity offering. So they pump the price up and then they sell. Traditionally, that has been illegal. But Goldman, has kind of a special exemption from the SEC or something. I don't know. There was a programmer who wrote a computer trading algorithm for Goldman. He was Czechoslovakian. I forget the exact nationality. He was Eastern European. And so when he finished, he packed up his bags and he had a copy of the program on his jump drive. And so he went to the airport to catch his flight. And he was arrested by the FBI at the airport. And the charge was having possession of a program that could be used to manipulate the markets. Stock manipulation is illegal. So he was arrested for having a program that could manipulate the stock markets. It's the very same program Goldman uses and other primaries, investment banks use. So if it's illegal for him to have it, why the hell is it not illegal for Goldman to have it? I could go on. I could preach a sermon on this, but I'll save you the rant. But this is one reason why I'm usually modestly critical and highly suspicious of most anything Goldman says. All right, we've got some comments here. Brentwood, can you do an audiobook for me for Raptor Red? I love your voice. Don't worry, I am not a stalker. We were privileged to hear Brentwood on the Zoom call the other night, and she received numerous comments about she would have a great voice for radio or reading books or whatever. So Ellen's in the background going, she does. Sky Ricky, you're too sweet. If I could figure it out, I probably would. Brentwood, we can figure that out.
You should join the Calm.
Do what?
The Calm app, where what's his name?
Oh,
Peter
yeah.
Hay.
Yeah.
We'll just put you to sleep, Brentwood, that should be you.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, Brentwood, but Ellen was suggesting that you join the Calm app. Apparently, this is an app that just has people talking or reading books very calmly, very peacefully. You know, Matthew McConaughey and some others, and it just helps people to calm down or, you know, to listen to something as they're going to sleep, that kind of thing. She said you would have a great voice by that. Melissa, great idea. Record it on your phone, Brentwood. I think the chorus is rising, Brentwood. We might have to just, you know, get this done.
I will pay for that.
Green Bean can do the sounds. I don't know if we want Green Bean doing the sounds. I'm kind of thinking some of those sounds may not be of the calming nature, but if it's anything like our mutts.
Listen, I'll pay for it. I will pay you $5.99 to read that book out loud with my ADHD ass.
You know, once you do a recording, you probably could upload it to Amazon or somewhere, and
they will pay you for that.
And pay you for it.
Mm-hmm.
Brentwood, man, I got you guys snowed if you think I'm calm. I don't know if you're calm or not, but you got a calm voice. That's all I'm testifying to. Like Sky said, I'm not a stalker, but you got a calm voice.
Be good in like mediation.
Melissa, he's great at sound effects. Yeah, we've got a few of those creative talents around here as well.
Chunk is that, but no, seriously, like, why don't we have a heater here?
Just go ahead and turn it off. Because I was cold.
No.
Brentwood, I'm sure there is a copyright stuff to deal with, right?
No,
Don't know.
it's your voice. You can read it. I know if you go on like Amazon or books or something, then yeah, they'll pay you to read it out loud.
Sky Ricky.
If you can read it
fast, I will still pay.
You got two payers right there.
Chunk. No.
Melissa will provide the dinosaur noises. I think we're good. I gotta take these out. So I think we're a new career. I'm telling you, Brentwood, it's a thing.
If you got it, use it.
Yeah, you have a very like I said, I didn't say you were calm. But you have a calming voice. You have a peaceful voice, a voice that is easy to listen to.
It really is. I can be a witness to that.
Mm-hmm. Can I get a witness? Every time someone listens to it, you get money. Exactly, Sky Ricky.
All right, my computer froze up here for a second.
Oh, Brentwood's blushing. There you go, Melissa. You and Brentwood.
I'm telling you, Melissa is our art person.
To go to art person.
Yeah, our go-to art person. Anything dealing with the arts, theater, movies, literature, whatever.
Voiceovers, anything.
Voiceovers.
Dogs.
She's dogs.
Oh, by the way, Melissa, Mahoney eats no treats. None. 0. Zip. The ones that you sent, she cannot get enough. Like, Clay's like, don't give her so many. I'm like, I have to because she wants them. She won't eat her food. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Ellen's giving her like a whole handful.
Well, because she loves them.
She got chased by a Cody the other night. So Ellen was like,
night.
Here, anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Codys are getting a little aggressive around here.
They are.
Open a YouTube and Ellen and I will listen and send tips.
Oh, you got it. We're on it.
Carson, almost making a complete sentence here.
Wait, we can get connected with voiceover agents. Yes, apparently there's the rest of it. Yes.
Now, Carson, we're not saying you can get connected with a voiceover agent.
We haven't heard your voice, but like I think once. in a
Did we hear?
book club.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was. So, and you'll have to try to schedule us in for the next book club. So,
He might, but Brentwood, you're right up there. Do you hear this? Except for Chunk.
except for Chunk, it's part of our noise making machine here.
Mhm.
Brentwood, Melissa, let's see if we can see if I can get up the nerve to do it. I really think you ought to, Brentwood. I mean, you would have some immediate business just from this channel.
Absolutely. We'll promote.
Carson might have the best voice out there.
He may.
Carson, love you, man, but your voice doesn't compare to Brentwood's. Sorry.
No.
End of story.
They do make a lot of money. I knew one that worked at the Starbucks here. He went to Raleigh, ended up doing radio. He had a great voice. And he does all kinds of stuff now. They do make great money.
And Carson, don't feel so all alone or unloved. My voice does not compare to Melissa. I mean, to Melissa's or to Brentwood's. So.
And God knows mine doesn't. Mine's more annoying than anything.
Yeah, mine is.
It's like no shit.
I'm not touching that. Hell no.
That's funny.
Chunk, do something with your.
Put up a poll. Who
butt.
thinks Brentwood should try and do voiceover or read online? Brentwood, can you do a poll, honey? I know
Well,
you can.
Can you handle the dog before he knocks my drink
Brentwood
over?
can do the poll if she wants to. Do the poll, Brentwood.
Yeah, can you do? Yeah, Brentwood, put up a poll. Chop chop.
I don't know. All right, well, Clay will do it.
All right, let's see.
16th is the date.
Yes, 16th, barely ahead, but looks like we're going to probably go with the 16th. I'm going to have to end this poll to put up a second one.
I got kiss in the mouth. That was fun.
This is what Chunk does
Get down.
to Lou. All right, the question is,
Should Brentwood,
Brentwood voice
should Brentwood?
over?
Okay. Yes. No. Hell yes. She should think about it.
All right, polls up. Y'all vote.
If I had my phone, I'd vote. I do not. Announcing on the.
Melissa, I have a voiceover friend who has done the announcing at the Oscars a number of times. She did some voiceover work for a video I did with one of my previous pugs.
Okay, so when is GB gonna walk down the red carpet for real? Like to get his Oscar?
I think the Oscars are already over.
Academy Awards? What is it? Red
Yeah,
carpet?
Oscars, Academy Awards. Yeah, I think they're already over.
I know, but when is he gonna get his? He's been practicing.
Soon. It needs to be very soon.
It needs to be, yes. Because I think he deserves one. He's been practicing the walk, the talk, the wig, all the things.
Yep. He has.
Time will tell. I want to get him into film. He should be.
He is a cutie. And, it's what makes him even cuter, honestly, is your presentation of him, your adoration of him. Okay.
Jealousy,
You're-
Chunk has over him.
Over him. Hey, Chunk. That's the privilege of having the little black dog. You can't really see much about him. At least you can kind of
Give me a
see his
tongue.
eyes a little bit in the tongue.
Can you say hey to GB? Say hey, GB.
Hey, GB.
Say hello.
He usually will talk.
He talks nonstop.
He is the talkingest little thing. All right, let's see how the Brentwood poll is doing. Whoops. Brentwood, I think the hell yeses and the absolutely damn yeses are winning by a large margin.
50-50, but no yes. Oh,
Absolutely damn
oh,
yes.
It keeps going back and forth. So yes is 0%. So I'm sorry, but hell yes and absolutely yes are winning.
Yep. Brentwood, looks like you're just going to have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The channel has spoken. Another thing I wanted to throw out for the fun of it.
This does not look like fun.
Yeah, because we were talking about got a question about the market.
Looks like numbers. I understand.
This is a graph showing the plotting of the Shiller CAPE index.
What is the Shiller method, please?
The CAPE index is the cyclically adjusted price to earnings ratio. And you've got the black line at around 18, which is kind of the historical average. So if it dips way below that, then you would kind of interpret that as stocks are cheap. If it goes way above that, you would interpret that as stocks are getting increasingly expensive. So with this rising to about its third or fourth all-time high since 1890.
They're all on my lap. I have no idea. Okay, we got all kinds of stuff going on here.
Yeah, since 1890. This is just another indicator that the stock market may be getting overpriced.
I'm going to take him out. How about that? John, come on.
Now, this CAPE index has some, legitimate issues or people questioning it because of some of the underlying accounting methods. So, it's not a perfect index, but it is information. And so going back to where I was talking about, there are things in the market that look like risk is increasing. This would be kind of one of those things that seem to indicate that the market prices are getting rather high. Brentwood, we have officially derailed this live. Yes, but I will get in bits and pieces here. All right, Brentwood has committed. I figured it out just for you guys, and we love you for that and that attitude. Absolutely. Melissa, I'll send you the other Oscar video. It's about 10 minutes long, but the Oscar bit is only a bit of it. Fair enough. And Carson, Clay, no offense taken. I tend to prefer the female voices. I am with you on that. Absolutely. I mean, my voice is good for hollering at people, which I try to take full advantage of in my job, but that's a story for another day. Melissa, it was for the Wheeling Pug Relay to raise money to get different Bales pups. The wheels, they need to live their best lives. I saw a video the other day, like of 50 pups who had the wheels for the back legs. Front legs would work, but the back legs didn't. And it was just a room full of these wheelchair pups running around. It was just cute as hell. It really was. Carson, Ellen's not here, but I'm going to go ahead and get this on the air. Save it for perpetuity. Ellen, don't discount your voice. You have a good voice. She does. Trust me, she knows how to use it. Sky Ricky, Brentwood, if you don't have the nerve, I'll take Green Bean and pick up your award. And who needs to worry about money if you win the voice over Oscar? If you do that, I kind of think the money will take care of itself. Just remember who initially pushed you to fame and glory and riches. Sky Ricky from Brentwood. I love that you believe in me that much. She's not alone. She is absolutely not alone. Melissa, differently abled. That's a good way of putting it. Skyricky, yes, Clay, remember it was me. I'm kind of thinking there was, some teamwork here. You did kind of introduce the subject at first, but you had a lot of support. So, but Brentwood, we're all cheering you on. You really ought to do it. Seriously, really ought to do it. The poll is extremely clear. It's now 100% absolutely damn yes. So, E-Train joining in. Carson, thank you. Thank you. Since I got moved back to NC in 2000, I've gotten back in touch with my Southern twang. I know this will be hard for y'all to believe, but when I was trading bonds, I did a lot of work out on the West Coast. So, and I knew my Southern twang would be a bit of an impediment. So I took speech and diction classes and, was doing these verbal exercises, vocal exercises to try to kind of harden up my A's, put the G on the end of words, these kind of things. And actually, after doing them for 4, 5, 6 months, I was talking to a portfolio manager out in California, and she actually asked if I was from the East Coast. So I thought, it's working. Now, I have long since forgotten what that what that particular exercise was, and as Ellen says, I have probably slipped back into my ways, but it was fun while it lasted. Felt a little different, honestly. Non-zero number of us that like the Southern female voice a lot. There is a certain grace attached to it. And, I've learned to love a number of different accents. I'm curious, what accent does everybody have on their iPhone or Android phone? Sitting here thinking, I think mine's a South African female. Let's see what else. In good news, I saw the U.S. debt yesterday passed $34,551,363,248,839.89. So for aficionados of that number, we're adding about $1 trillion every 100 days since last June. So we'll be here when it knocks past 35 trillion in another 30 or 40 days. Also saw some interesting things with Medicare. E-Train, Charlize Theron. I don't know whose voice it is, but I like the accent. Melissa, British male, baby. His name is Gavin. E-Train, Australian. Good accent there as well. You get so used to the accents you hear all the time, you don't really appreciate them. And, sometimes when I would travel out to California, I remember I had this one portfolio manager. She would just look at me and just go, say something, just talk. She just loved the Southern accent. It was kind of a nice little compliment. Melissa coming through again. I met the guy who does the Australian voice for Apple. And, I wonder how they do that, because he can't record every word. I don't know. But seeing your post just made me think about that. He can't sit there and just read every word in the dictionary. So does he do different, phonetic sounds, or I don't know. But you got me thinking now. I might have to look that up. Anyway, Medicaid. I don't know if y'all remember or not, but when Obamacare was passed, there was encouragements for states to sign up with the expansion of Medicaid to offer it to more people. And there was a lot of politics and divisiveness on this. A lot of, I don't know, 25, 30 states did expand. There's 15 or 20 that did not. And the concern was that after a few years, the government would quit, the federal government would quit contributing to the additional state expense. So a lot of states held off signing up for it or expanding because they were concerned about the future. Well, that kind of ended up coming to be the case. Medicare often does not pay enough to cover the cost of care. So the larger number of patients on Medicare means that the hospitals lose more money. And there was a study released that just showed that hospitals are increasingly closing due to this Medicaid expansion. In expansion states, the Medicare shortfall has reached $22 billion, which is up 117% since 2013. The study also pointed out if non-expansion states were to decide to go ahead and expand Medicare coverage, their shortfalls would double to $13 billion. So basically, that's a euphemism for saying more and more hospitals go out of care, go out of business. Medical coverage, access to medical care worsens. So as government encourages more shifts from private insurance to Medicaid, the higher the shortfalls, the less available treatment becomes. Bottom line, you simply can't stay in business by losing more and more money. Now, the beautiful thing is we've talked about immigration, and immigration is actually impacting these hospitals much worse. Denver Health was at a critical point. The healthcare system for Denver was at a critical point this past year. And, articles and news were sitting there saying this Denver hospital system may collapse due to migrant crisis. We are turning down patients. The article, the news coverage goes on to reveal that 8,000 immigrants, just 8,000 immigrants, made over 20,000 emergency room visits, swamping the emergency rooms in the Denver area. So much so that the Denver system is having to turn away Denver residents due to being flooded with the immigrant visits. So I thought that was kind of an interesting perspective. And here you've got, the health CEO warning that Denver Health is at a critical point, and we need to take this up in 24. Hospital closed 15 beds, reduce rates, and postpone renovations after losing $2 million. Because our costs exceed our revenues, we are turning down patients every day, particularly in mental health and substance abuse. The main problem with the immigrants is that they come with relatively serious issues because they couldn't obtain, healthcare coverage in their home nation. So now they can come up here and it's free, and they are more than willing, more excited to take advantage of it. I would too. I'm not blaming them, but there are certain practical realities as to just how much our system can support before it collapses. And in Denver, the healthcare system is getting increasingly close to collapsing. Expenses funded by the taxpayers are going to soar. Again, where do you get the money from? Right there on the table by the sofa. Ellen is taking the dogs out, so
You can explain the whole.
Yeah, I've got a K-bar knife. The other night there was a coyote that I chased down the street, and it would stop and kind of watch me approach, and then it would take off a little bit, turn around, stop. It was almost like it was encouraging me to go. And I started thinking, coyotes sometimes will send one out as a loner to try to attract some animal to chase it, and then it will lead it into the pack, which the pack obviously overwhelms the animal. And I was thinking, I've got my hands. I can throw fists, but I don't know if I want to be throwing fists at, coyote. So started taking, a K-bar knife out with me just for the fun of it. Just kind of like a security blanket in case I, chase a coyote again and he does decide to try to have a turf battle. Carson, having to head out. Time to Zoom the oldest. Good seeing you, man. Do appreciate you jumping in very much. It's good to see you again. Brentwood, that is scary. Yes, they'd like to play that game. And they're getting less and less afraid of human. And, they have probably already cleaned out a few of the neighborhood cats. They haven't attacked any, dogs that I know of yet, but really don't expect that to take much longer. They are getting aggressive. And as their numbers increase, the number of deer around here, the number of possum, the number of raccoons, whatever other food sources for them is being depleted. So as they get hungrier, they will get more aggressive. And they have no natural predator here. And we're obviously not allowed, quote unquote, to hunt them. So it's going to be ugly. Sounds like Koberger, that knife. Okay, that may be a YouTube case that I am not familiar with. Some of y'all have better, information on some of the stuff that I do. But a K-bar is just an old core service knife. And it's a decent little sticker. It's solid. So that's kind of the gist of everything that I had. Any of y'all have any questions, comments, thoughts? Be glad to entertain, any of your comments or ideas. Or I think we pretty much got Brentwood locked into doing the voiceover. So 100%, absolutely, damn yes. And this poll, what is going on with this poll? Sometimes I wonder what the hell is up with YouTube. Because, we had 7, 8, 9, 10 votes, and now it just shows 1 vote. I don't know. Question. Brentwood, question. How did I come on here tonight and end up with starting a new career? Well, just because we love you. and you've got a great voice. And we think you ought to put it to good use by recording the book so we can all listen to it. See, y'all have questions. I have answers. Glad to help you out there. Ellen. Huh? She is hollering to me from outside. Like, I have a hard time hearing her when she's here inside. Oh, Melissa sent the video.
Chuck had it too. Sorry. I was like, I can't share it through email and get it to you, so you had to.
Okay, it's saying I have to request access, and the request was sent. You'll get an email letting you know if your request was approved. So, Melissa, get to approving. Chop, chop. What?
What? I know, right?
Yeah, stupid Google Docs, Google Drive. Brentwood, give it a go. Like the guy on that chapter says, YouTube.
Huh?
That
Me.
and
What?
yeah. And then this one. Do you know what this one is? Sounds like Kohlberger, that knife.
Yes, the K-bar. He had a K-bar knife that he killed all those victims with.
Oh, a guy by the name of Kohlberger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Kohlberger, the Idaho 4.
Yeah, don't know. I'm not the serial killing king.
Okay, so Clay, there was a murder in Idaho a year or two ago with 4 people that died, 4 college students.
Brentwood, you already have 2 customers and an Oscar. Give it a go.
There you go.
Absolutely. Give it a go. I'm surprised you haven't already done it yet. What are you waiting on?
There's one up right there.
Do what?
Is that the one you got? Okay.
Yeah.
She said she's trying to send it 2 ways. You should be good. There
Oh,
you go.
okay. Here we are. I'll tell you what, let me actually restart this in case there is sound. Some of y'all are aware that StreamYard,
It's not the best at that.
sometimes if I click off the screen, the sound will be lost. So I have to restart it. All right, let me
Play.
hit play. I was going to try to expand the screen here. Is that it? Add
No,
a
that's
comment.
add comment.
Okay.
Oh. Hey. He's trying. I love it.
Is it just me, or does he not look excited about that rig?
One of my neighbors.
Is this green bean?
All right, Melissa, give us some.
What? Okay. First, I was thinking it was Cream Queen doing an act, and then I realized this isn't an act. Yeah. I don't know why I was looking at the Green Day. This is your opportunity to talk.
Wow. Yeah, I'm playing Carson's back. I'm handing over the comments that are going to be thrown up on the screen to Brentwood. In my neighborhood. It was dragging his back legs on the driveway, and they would not buy him Here we go.
The red carpet.
And the Oscar for Best Boss goes to Bossman. This is the first Oscar and first nomination for Bossman.
That is cute.
on my pug famous.
Yeah, I gotta give you a lot of credit, Melissa. You do a great job getting the dogs out and capturing them. Very well done.
You're awesome, Melissa. That's great.
Very
That
cute.
was the best.
Very well done. Thank you. And we enjoy the hell out of that, of y'all sharing
Your pup.
again some of your family photos, movies, whatever you'd want to share with us. We greatly appreciate. Great job, Melissa. Truly a great job.
That was just so cute.
I look forward to seeing that at next year's awards ceremony.
Oh, don't be crying, honey. We're celebrating and sharing the life of Boss Man.
Yeah,
How sweet.
very cool. We all, on that sweet note,
We should always leave you with some happy news. Bossman lived a great life, and he was loved 100% by Melissa.
yeah, I don't think he could have had any better care of life. I really don't. It-
Oh,
It was just the 1-year anniversary of his passing. Did not know that, but
he's a good pup. You took great care
yeah,
of him.
you really did take good care of him. So we're grateful for you. We're grateful for each of you joining us tonight and spending a little time with us. Really appreciate your thoughts and comments, your support of the channel, and we just love our little family. Look forward to seeing y'all Saturday night, and hope that you'll join us then.
What's the topic? Do you know?
No idea.
This is kind of how this goes.
Yeah. No idea. Again, if there's something you want to see or have addressed, feel free to DM me at Moffat on Money or email me moffatonmoney@gmail.com.
Or on X
X. I still call it Twitter. Sorry.
at Moffat on Money. Oh, honey, you're welcome. You are just blessings, and God bless you. You are just a wonderful human.
Yeah. Y'all make this truly an enjoyable experience for us, and we're grateful to you.
Absolutely.
We're going to let y'all enjoy the rest of your nights, evenings, wherever you are. We wish you a great week ahead, and we thank you for why are we not going out on Saturday nights? That's a good point. But we thank you for your time. Ours is up. Good
We
night,
love
y'all.
you guys.
Blessings to you.